Imagine going back to the very beginning of the human story. A very small number of people, each carrying a limited combination of genetic traits. But look at us today. We have blue, brown, green, and hazel eyes, and countless shades in between. We have black, brown, blonde, and red hair, with hundreds of variations in texture and appearance. Human skin spans an enormous range of colors, not to mention differences in height, facial features, body structure, and countless other traits. So how did all of this happen? How could such enormous human diversity emerge across generations from such a limited beginning? And the strangest part, were all of these traits already there from the beginning? Or did something else happen over thousands of generations? Were all these traits already there from the beginning? At first, it might seem simple. If humanity began with a very limited number of people, it would make sense to assume that all the traits that appeared later must have somehow already existed in them. But there's a problem with that idea. What we see in a person is not everything they carry in their genes. A person can carry different versions of certain genes without all of them appearing in their physical appearance. And when they have children, different combinations of this genetic information can be passed on. When different versions from the father and mother come together, traits or variations that were not visible in either parent can sometimes appear. But this still doesn't explain everything. What if a variation appeared that didn't exist in the parents at all? That brings us to one of the most important forces behind genetic diversity: mutations. You might imagine that it works like this: one gene for eye color, one gene for hair color, and one gene for skin color. But genetics is much more complex than that. Many human traits are not controlled by a single gene. Instead, they are influenced by multiple genes working together. Take eye color as an example. It's not simply a gene saying, "This eye will be brown," or "This one will be blue." Several genes influence the amount of melanin and how it is distributed inside the eye, contributing to a wide range of colors and shades. The same applies to other traits, such as skin color, height, and some characteristics of hair. And this reveals something important. Even a relatively small set of genetic variations can produce many different combinations when they are inherited together in different ways. But that alone isn't enough, because we still need to know, where did the new genetic variations come from in the first place? Let's say there is a genetic variation that didn't exist in either parent. Where could it come from? This is where mutations come in. The DNA that carries our genetic information is constantly being copied, and these copying processes are not always perfect. Sometimes, a small change occurs in the DNA sequence. This change is called a mutation. A mutation may have no obvious effect. It may be harmful, or in some cases, it can affect a particular trait. And if it occurs in a cell that can pass it on to the next generation, it can become part of the genetic diversity of future generations. The important thing is that mutations do not appear because the body needs them. They occur without a predetermined direction. Then the next generations come into play. If a mutation is passed on, its frequency in a population may increase, decrease, or remain rare over time. So diversity doesn't only come from reshuffling what already existed. New genetic variations can also arise, then be passed on and accumulate across generations. But something else happens in every generation. Even without a new mutation, genes are reshuffled. But mutations are not the whole story. Even when no new mutation appears, children do not inherit an exact copy of their parents' genes. The reason is genetic recombination. When sex cells are formed, genetic material from the parents is reshuffled, and the child receives a new combination of genetic variants. That's why two siblings from the same parents can inherit slightly different combinations of genes, even though they come from the same genetic source. Think of it like having two sets of cards, then shuffling and dealing them differently each time. The cards are the same, but the arrangement is different. And with every generation, this reshuffling happens again. So even without new genes appearing, differences between individuals can continue to emerge. But now we have a bigger question. What happens when a population of humans becomes separated from other populations? Imagine a group of humans living together and then splitting into two populations. One might move to a distant region, or mountains and large distances might separate them, making interaction and reproduction between the two groups much less common. From that point on, each population begins following a different genetic path. New mutations that appear in one group may never reach the other. Genetic combinations that become common in one population may remain rare in the other. The environment can also influence which traits give individuals a better chance of surviving and reproducing. There is also genetic drift, where some traits can become more or less common simply because of chance, especially in small populations. So one generation isn't enough to create a major difference. But imagine this process continuing for hundreds or thousands of generations. Small differences begin to accumulate, and over time, the gap between populations becomes larger. And now, the picture we've been building since the beginning starts to make sense. How can tiny differences eventually become enormous diversity? Now, let's put all the pieces together. New mutations appear, then genes are reshuffled in every generation. These variations are passed from parents to children, and sometimes human populations become separated, causing each group to follow a different path. Then the process repeats, not for 10 generations or 100, but across thousands of generations. And this is where things get interesting. A small difference at the beginning can become common within one population, while other differences emerge in other populations. Over time, these differences accumulate, and genetic combinations become more and more diverse. This helps explain the diversity we see among humans today. Different shades of skin, different eye and hair colors, differences in height, hair texture, facial features, and body structure. But there is an important point. This does not mean that every trait appeared because of a single mutation or that evolution moves in a predetermined direction. It is the result of many different changes and processes interacting across countless generations. In the end, what began as very small differences can lead to enormous diversity among humans. But the story doesn't end here, because humans are still changing. If the diversity we see today is the result of changes that accumulated over many generations, then has this process ended? No. Our DNA continues to change, mutations continue to occur, and genes continue to be reshuffled with every generation. But this does not mean that we are moving toward a specific form or that we are becoming better over time. Evolution has no predetermined goal. The traits that become more common in the future depend on many factors, such as the environment, migration, reproduction, natural selection, genetic drift, and more. Some of the changes happening today may have little or no noticeable effect, while others could become more common over thousands of generations. So humans in the future will not be exact genetic copies of the humans alive today. And if you want to discover more questions that seem simple, but have answers far stranger than you might expect, subscribe to our channel, watch our previous videos, and join us in the next one. Because the next question might just be the strangest question you've ever thought about.